Hello everybody. As per usual, we're going to give everyone just a few minutes to join in. Okay, help me out. P-A-C-A-P-L-E-S. What is your actual name? I would love to know your name. Hey Yardley, welcome. As y'all join in, as people join in, if y'all can, just write your full name for me, your actual name for me, so I can know who I'm talking to throughout the class. It helps me out a lot. Yeah, hi Pam, thank you. But yeah, as you join in, it just helps me to know who I'm talking to, who's asking questions. I like to be able to use your names. Today for my fancy drink, I have made myself some iced coffee. Alex actually, hey Mom. Alex was joking on me last night because I made coffee and I stuck it in the fridge, and I have a terrible habit of holding onto drinks for way too long and just sticking them in the fridge. But it was on purpose last night, so I made some like fancy coffee and got all ready, and I've been saving it for class today. So it's not like the true cold brew, but it's good for me. While people are getting on, y'all go ahead and get settled. Get everything that you need for this class time. I'm going to show you real fast the supplies that we're using. So first things first, look at how pretty this magnolia is. I was pumped to find one that was just so spot on. Today we need a surface to paint on, as per usual, whether that's paper, wood, canvas, whatever it is you choose. We need a paintbrush that's about the size of a pinky nail. So you can see my pinky nail right there. So I have a flat head, and then you need a pencil, you need a rag, paper towel, napkin, something to wipe your brush off on, some clean water. This is clean, believe me. It's just a very dirty jar. And then you're gonna need some red, blue, yellow paint, and a white paint. We don't need black today. And I think that is all that you need, that aside from whatever treat you're giving yourself. So if you've got some iced coffee like me, or some tea, or whatever it is you're drinking, go ahead and get that settled. This is all about treating yourself. This is all about just taking a break. So make it special, make your time special, and we're just gonna have fun. As per usual, the very first thing that we're gonna do is take a deep breath. So everyone, real fast, deep breath. Lost you, but breathe in and breathe out. Hey Ginger, welcome. This time is not about achievement. This time is not about perfection. This is not about you creating something that is perfect and spotless. It is all about skill building. It is all about growth. It is supposed to be meditative and joyful and restful. For the next hour, we are gonna focus on something beautiful and lovely, and we are just gonna dwell on that. We're gonna look at the colors, we're gonna look at the shapes, and we're just gonna learn more about this flower and just enjoy the process of that, and we're gonna try our best to replicate that beauty. So remember, if you don't love it the first time, try it a second time. A lot of times that second time that we try something, it just all clicks into place for us. So for this first hour, we're just gonna enjoy it, we're just gonna have fun, and just take the load off. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey, Mary Margaret, I don't know if I said hello already, but I'm glad that you're here. Okay, I'm gonna flip us around. Look at it. Gosh, it's so pretty. So I need to show y'all my first draft, which, to be honest, is not the best first draft I've ever done, but that is okay. So let me see if I can get it facing the right direction. This was my first draft. So something that's going to be a little bit challenging, as it has been in the past, is getting these colors right. And I kept trying to figure out how I could teach easily the colors we're going to be painting. So the shapes, I think I got a hold of, and I think I have a pretty good guess on how to do the colors themselves, but we are dealing with shades of white. And if any of y'all have ever picked out wall colors for your house, you'll know that there are infinite shades of white. And so we're having the added trick of mixing them with blue, yellow, red, and white, rather than getting to work with creams. So it's just a little bit more challenging, but we're gonna be able to do it together. I will talk you through it. We're gonna have fun. So the very first thing that we do when we start getting ready to paint is we observe what we're drawing. So I've got this in a bowl of water today, so let me move my paper out of the way just in case. So here is our lovely magnolia flower. So you'll see first thing that we notice is we've got really fun spiky pod in the center. Gosh, I love it, it's so cool. And it's kind of a nice orangey, ochre, green, yellow color. That's really fun. We've got some really dark blue-green leaves that have a nice sharp reflection. They're very waxy, they're very translucent. Not translucent, what's the word? You know, strong reflections, very sturdy. So we're gonna play with that nice light gray that we see popping out of this really dark green. We're gonna play with that. We've got some really lovely sturdy leaves, flower petals. And let's see if I can show you, if we can count them, if you can see them. But what you can't tell right now is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the center and 1, 2, 3 in the background of the petals. They're all white, but they've got some pretty grays and oranges and creams in the mix. Oh my goodness. Now I've got to set this back up. Okay, I think that's about right. Yes, we have got a really lovely flower, and from y'all's angle, you will have the option, I can't see it from my angle, but we might do it, to do this nice little hot pink spot we've got going on, which I think is super fun. So, without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we're gonna use is our pencil. So go ahead and grab your pencil, get that ready, grab your paper. We're gonna start with our center pod, and then we're gonna do this shape over here. So I'm gonna be drawing more, sometimes I try to draw from straight down from y'all's perspective, but I'm gonna be drawing a little bit more from my perspective today, so y'all just hang with me. First thing we're drawing is this center pod. It's a nice subtle oval. So I'm not going to the very center of my paper, I'm coming down just a tinge to the, down and to the right, and I'm doing an oval that's very rounded. It's kind of squat, not quite a circle, just like that. All right, now remember we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming out. We're gonna start with these 3 at the bottom, and we're gonna start by drawing these 2 lines coming out. So center of my circle, I'm gonna come down and do a little wave. Okay, and then over here, I'm gonna go a little bit more down, and I'm doing just another, I kind of curve it, and I'm going out. So those 2 lines, they're very squiggly, they're not very precise, but you can see them right here. I'm just doing these little lines coming out, okay? Not very specific, and like we've said before, if yours looks different than mine, we are just gonna tell people you were drawing a different flower. So long as we have the rules of Magnolia, it does not matter if yours are a little bit different than mine or not. Okay, now, to make things simpler, we are just gonna draw a nice half circle, and then we'll build the shapes inside. So let's just take the edges and do a nice half circle. So be nice and generous with it, good and round. And then the first thing I'm gonna do, once I have that, is I'm gonna pop this little point down. So it's not quite centered, but I'm just gonna pop that point. Now, I'm gonna come over here where I kind of brought this point in, and I'm gonna take this and round it in, just like that. So here's my half circle. I brought that point out, and then I came in with this and made a little teardrop-esque shape, going straight to the line that I'd drawn before. And y'all can see what I'm doing, I just drew that petal in. Nice and easy. Now I'm gonna draw a little bit of a lip coming this way. So you'll see it goes to the edge of the line that we drew before, and I'm gonna go to the edge of my point. So just drawing that lip in. And I'm keeping it a little bit loose. I'm not doing specific lines. where they're nice and hard. I'm keeping it a little loose so it looks more like a petal. And you can go ahead and just make that outer line a little bit more rough for me, okay? Because we don't want those hard circles. We don't want it to look like one big petal. We just needed that half circle to get us started with a general size. Oh, hey, Miss Marla, welcome. I didn't see you came in. All right, now we're gonna start bringing these guys in a little bit and defining this section right here. So let's go ahead and let's draw these lines first, and then we'll deal with the bigger one. So this just kind of goes out like that. So just do a little line. And then we'll do the same thing over here, where we'll just come out a little bit. We can fix it later, make it look better. Now, I'm gonna just start by doing 2 little pulls out. Nice and simple, not too extravagant. And then with this one, I need to bring it all the way to here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it to here, and I'm gonna pull the other line to there also. So it has to make it to that lip. And then on this side, that line that I started has to make it all the way, it's almost to the center. If you're looking at this line right here, it's kind of to the center of it. So we're just gonna pull that line to that center. So I'll start at the center and then I'll pull it back and I'll meet the 2 together. And just once you have that line in, you know that this needs to be pulled to the line. Y'all are doing great. I am going a little bit quicker on the drawing today, if you've noticed, because we have a lot of time to mix paints, and so I want to give you as much time as possible for those details later. So just try and hang with me. If you're in the recording, you can always pause whenever you need to, and if you're live, just do your best to stick with me as we go, and then at the end of this, once we wrap up the hour, we'll switch over to a second live, and I will talk you through the finish. So just try and hang with me for now. I'm gonna do this little lip right here so I don't forget it later. So it's basically just coming to the center of my point, and I'm just gonna pull to this spot right here, and the same thing over here. And that's just where the petals just kind of fold up, which is nice and pretty. And then I think with this one, I am gonna add that little detail. So go ahead and just draw yourself a little arch right there, a little line, so we can remember later to put that really pretty fuchsia spot in. Okay? Give you just a second. Take a sip of my tea. Oh, that's so good. Okay, so let's jump to the others. So first, let's go ahead and let's tackle this little guy right here. So he is right here, almost a direct line from this guy. So just draw your 2 little parallel lines right there. And then we have a nice big kind of oval that's overlapping it, but you'll see it's not going to the center line. The center line's right here, but it's just to the right of it. So put your oval going off to the side. I think that's right. Maybe I need to pull it down a little bit more. This is the trick of petals like this that can be a little bit confusing because it doesn't look right, but it is right. That's what's always so hard, when things don't look right, but it's how they actually are, so you just have to do it. Okay, we're gonna roll with it for now, and if I change my mind later, we can always fix it later, right? Okay, let's go ahead and tackle this one right here. So same thing, this one's a little bit wider. So let's do our little, we're combining these now. So all these petals coming out are touching somewhere. So let's go ahead and have that come out like that. And then let's do, how do we want to do this shape? Gosh, what a tricky shape it is. let's go ahead, let's measure it by, shoot, okay. Let's just do a nice big, let's go ahead and pull this out where we know it's supposed to be. So we know that this line comes out past this guy about right here. So just pull it out. So pull that line out. You'll see right here, it's got about this far from that circle, that far from that circle. And then we're gonna pull this one out to about right here. So nice wide funnel. That's what it is, it's a funnel. Just kind of pulling it out. And then we'll do a nice arch to cover it over. Okay, sorry when I don't have the words for y'all. I do my best, but can't always have the words. Y'all know this if you've done any classes with me before. So I'm rounding that out a little bit. And then you know we've got this little lip that comes in. So if your line right here, if your arch is a little bit too shallow, draw your other line on the outside of it. And if you feel like your arch is more deep than mine, then draw your next line on the inside. So just kind of take a gauge of if yours is flatter than mine or rounder than mine, and then correct it because we're gonna do this second line. So, there we go. And it kind of, yeah, that's good. That's good. Now we're gonna tackle this one back here, okay? So this one, let's make it easier on y'all. We're gonna do multiple shapes. So first, we're gonna draw a nice big oval that comes behind these two flowers. And then, we're gonna draw just a little spot where we can see it comes in, and a little line right here. So nice big oval, and then those two little bloop and bloop where you see it kind of coming in, tapering in. Okay. Now with this one, let's go ahead and let's draw a big circle, starting at the edge of here. I kind of drew out where a big circle would be. And then we're gonna taper that in. And you'll see my circle is overlapping. It's coming behind. It turns into a big teardrop. So you've got your big circle right here, and then you pull it in to that center bit, but it is coming behind both of these. And then you can always change that shape a little bit, add a little bit of a point, then pull it in. And if you're like me and you drew that full circle, just erase the inside bit because we don't need that later. Just a few more petals. Hey, Wesselby, welcome. Okay, this one's easy. We're just gonna add a little arch and then a little inset. Okay, so just pull around here. This is not too specific, this one. I'm just adding it right there. And then where this would continue, I'm pulling it down. And then our last one is this one right back here. If you want to add this little tear, you can. Some of you like to add the little damages in our flowers. Some of you like to correct them. It is your call today. So we're gonna start by, you can see it comes right to where this petal ends. So we'll do the same thing, and we'll pull it out where that petal ends, and then just wrap it around, come a little bit below, wrap it around like this, and then pull it to the close. Okay, so you see what I just did there? I just took it right here, wrapped it around. So it would be like a nice long oval if you want to do the oval, and then you just pull it to the center. Okay? Now we're gonna draw our leaves and then we'll switch to painting. Heather, welcome. It's so good to see you. Hey, Caitlin. Okay, so now we're just gonna draw a few of our leaves. You can be creative with this. So we've talked about composition before. If you are all lopsided on one side, then draw your leaves on the other, and vice versa. So this is where you can kind of use the leaves as your solution to your composition problem. So for me, I'm gonna stick pretty close to it because I took the leaves into account, but just know the leaves are gonna be pretty basic in how we paint them, so you can move them around to fit the solution that you need. So they're nice and pointed. We've noticed that before. They're sharp pointed leaves, so just draw them in as you need to. I drew that one right there and this one overlapping behind it. I'm gonna draw a point right here. Nice and sharp. Coming over here, I'm gonna add this one, just like that. I'll do one right here. The other benefit of these leaves is we've talked about the dilemma that comes when you paint white on a white backdrop or background. So these leaves create a dark background for a lot of our petals, which is very helpful. Okay, last ones right there. All right, that's it for me. Now, we're gonna get started with painting. So, pencils down. And the first thing that we're gonna use is we're gonna color this inside. And then I also didn't show you, but you can see right here, we've got these nice light green lines. And then each of our petals is, each of our leaves has, when you look closely, it has that same color line around the rim. So we're gonna start off with that color. So we're gonna use our red, our yellow, and our white. So just go ahead and put them on your surface that you're gonna be mixing on. Remember, you can go ahead and put a fair bit of the paint on the surface. We're not gonna mix everything that we put on there right now. We are just going to drag and mix as we need it. Whew. Y'all, it's good that we are ending these classes because I am coming to the end of my paints. All right, red, yellow, and now some white. All right, so we're mixing this color. Do I want blue yet? I do. Go ahead and grab some blue and put it on there too. I'm putting mine over here for now. So let's mix this color up. We're gonna need first, mainly yellow. Then go ahead and grab some white, just a touch of red and a touch of blue. And mix that together. And we'll see what color we get. And then we can move it around. But that's the benefit of when we put all the paints on the paper, on the plate, whatever you're using, and then you drag and mix. It just allows you to kind of change your measurements, change your proportions up as you need to. So I made that a little bit too green. I need a little bit more orange. So what I'll do is I'll take some red and I'll mix that in. And I'll just keep being able to drag and mix as I need to. Yes, I'm liking that a lot better because it's kind of a brownish, yellowy orange. I'll wipe my brush off and then I'll show you the color. Okay, this is the color I've just mixed. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill in my pod. So nice and simple, not being too specific with it. The only thing I warn you about is just make sure that you get nice hard outlines with this. That's where you want to be careful. Like you want to have a nice hard outline. Okay, oh yeah, I'm digging it. I am a fan of this color. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a little bit of water and mix it in with that color because it just makes it stretch further. And what I'm doing right now doesn't need to be super thick. So, very simple. At this point, I'll mix, yeah, that's good. At this point, I'm just going to, in the center of each of my leaves, I'm going to draw a line. And then, it does not matter how it looks on the inside, but on the outer line, I'm gonna get a nice hard line on the outer line, and I'm just gonna trace my pencil line with this color. Like I said, we are gonna color in with the actual color, and that will fix the inside line. So right now, that inside line does not matter. It is all about getting a nice, sharp outside line. So just pull that center, and then get a nice, sharp outside line. I love this color. It's kind of like a nice subtle gold is how it turned out. I am a fan. I've said this to the people who have taken this class before, but I almost always like my second draft better than my first draft. And y'all are always seeing my second or third or fourth draft on this. So if you ever worry that you're not loving it so much right now, keep going with me, learn each step, and just use this as your practice run. If anything, it might even turn out better because you have it in mind as being a practice run, because you're going to take the pressure off of yourself. And this should not have any pressure on it. If you need to rotate your paper to make sure that you don't mix up and make a mess, you can rotate your surface. And like I said, when you mix a little bit of water in, just a touch of water in with your color, it'll make it stretch further. So if you're kind of running to the end of your color and you're almost done and you don't want to have to mix more, you can always just mix a little bit of water in and it'll make that color stretch just a little bit further. So pretty. Okay, that looks great. So now we're gonna mix up our dark green color. You'll know once again that I did not allow y'all to use black because we don't need black. I've told y'all before, but one of the cool things about the Impressionist painters like Monet and Van Gogh and all those guys is that they did not use tube black because they felt like you could find richer forms of it by mixing other colors together. And so that's what we're gonna do now. Go ahead and clean your brush off because we don't want any of this color mixed in. And then we're gonna drag and drop some other colors. So I'm gonna take some blue and some red, and we'll mix that purple together. I should have moved it right here. So making a nice rich purple, and then I'm gonna take some yellow and mix that in. So what we're gonna be going for is we're going for a rich blue, green, brown color. If you're using the basics paint tubes, your blue is the strongest color in your mixing, and so it'll naturally dominate the other colors. But you should just know, just pay attention to how your colors are mixing, how your tube paints are mixing, and just mix until you get the right color. But we're going for this nice, deep, bluish, greenish brown. So, let me show you. I think I need to mix a little bit more. Right color, just not enough. Okay. All right, this is the color. Nice and dark, but I mean, that's pretty spot on. So we're not covering over what we've just, the pretty gold that we just painted, but we are filling in everything else. So it's okay if it ends up being a little bit kind of brushy and liney. Liney, is that a word? because we'll do another layer. So this is layer 1. So don't worry too much if this paint color seems a little bit too transparent, if your brush strokes are showing. We'll go over it a second round and make it nice and sharp. And y'all remember, if you have any questions as I'm going, please put that in the comments. I am sure that somebody else has the same question and they will be very grateful to you for going ahead and asking it. So don't worry about holding the class up, don't worry about looking silly. Odds are someone else is thinking the same thing. I forget stuff a lot of times and just breeze past them, and so it helps me to be held accountable also. So we're just filling in the leaves. Remember, the leaves are the pointy ones. I don't say that like in a judgmental way because I have definitely forgotten and filled in petals with leaf colors before because the shapes are similar. Hey Liz, welcome. Liz, you and your girls should definitely have a night and just go through one of these classes and paint some flowers together. I think that would be a lot of fun. So y'all remember, you can always flip your picture if you need to, so that you don't kind of drag your paint accidentally or stick your wrist in paint. Just keep going. I've been wanting to do magnolias for a while, but you know, I've been having to wait for them to come into bloom, and then for them to come into bloom somewhere I can actually reach them. Liz, if you go on my Instagram homepage and click on that link, I have an Amazon link to all the supplies needed for this. The one change up I might suggest is the sketchbook that is listed on the Amazon supplies list. While it's definitely the right paper, my mom has said that it was a little bit too small for her and she wished that she had gotten a larger pad. So you can get a larger pad. Mine is a 9x12 pad, which helps. But it's just basic primary colors. And then one paintbrush each that's about the size of a pinky nail. So nice and simple, pretty basic things. You could also do canvas. Hannah Valoni has got canvas for her paintings, so she's been doing them on that, which is really cool. Okay. Now, one thing that I forgot when I was doing my practice round that I am not going to let y'all forget now is that there are leaves in the center and not just on the outside. So look in here and remember where your dark spots are. If you want to stop filling in leaves and do this part with me right now so you don't get them mixed up, you can do that. So I'm going to start at the top and then work my way down. So right here, there is a small little blip of dark of a leaf. So when I come over here, I look and I see it's right there. So I'm going to fill in this little spot right here. Now looking over here, it is a small triangle that's come down here. So I'm coming down here and I did not finish drawing this in. No, I did. Mine's not a full triangle. So it starts right here. It's a little bit of a bigger shape. So right there is where it fills in. Coming down here, right here, there's no green in that overlap, but coming down to this center one, there is a little sliver right here. So I'm looking, this is part of leaf right here. So you'll just have to follow your lines and the general placement and find where each of your moments of a leaf are. Coming over to the side is slim right here. Same thing, oh gosh, this is tricky. I don't think I drew that line. You might not have either. If I didn't, you probably didn't. Okay, so this one's just a little line. So you can just hug this side and just draw a little line, paint a little line right there. And then the last one is over here. And I did not draw that one either, but I'm just gonna make it up. Just connect it right there. Okay? All right, so something that we will come back to do. We need another layer of this color over top of our leaves, but I want to go ahead and do the first layer on our actual flower. So y'all finish up. I'll give you another minute or two or another few seconds to finish up on your first layer of your leaves, and know that we will come back and finish that up. But I would rather you get the first layer of the right color so that you can mix it again later and get those flowers right. So as you finish up with this first layer of your leaves, go ahead and wash your brushes off. So you can see it. Wash your brushes off and then dry them off and flatten them. And the way that we flatten them is we pinch them in between our rag and pull. And that gives us a nice sharp line. This coffee's good. Okay. All right, ready or not, we're gonna continue on. So the first thing, we're gonna move from our darker colors to our lighter colors. So I still have a little bit of this gold mixed, so I'm gonna start with this mix. So the way that we got this mix is we did yellow, primarily, with a little bit of blue and a little bit of red. And a little bit of white. That went too green for me, so I need to add a little bit more red. I'm going to add a little bit more white because we're not going as dark as that gold was. So that's our base color now. And we're going to mix up the color of our shadows of this beautiful cream flower. Okay. This is the color I've just mixed. So you can see it down here. You can see it next to the gold too. So it's a little bit lighter and a little bit more blue mixed in than the gold was. So the first thing now, I'm gonna mix a little bit more white in, a little bit more water in with it to make it nice and thin, because we're gonna build some layers. And now we're gonna start in our center spots. Yeah, we're gonna start in our center spots. So in the flower petals below. So go ahead and remember where those background flower petals are. And just fill in the background spots. And you'll notice I am just doing that center bit right now. And then we'll pull it out. Oh, sorry. We'll pull it out after. So we're just tackling that center bit in the very far back. not pulling it all the way out, and I'm not even creating a hard line. I'm just kind of creating a little spot. Now we're gonna go ahead and take this color out a little bit wider to other places where it is. So I'm noticing, starting right here, I'm noticing that it's still dark right along where this highlight, where this oval is right here. Behind it, it's still got a little bit of dark, and then it comes up a little bit. So I'm gonna pull this, I'm gonna surround that with this color. And then I'm just gonna pull up a little bit, just like that. Now y'all, I don't know if you can notice, but for me, I can see that I didn't mix this color exactly right. It's actually a little bit more of a bluish kind of purple gray. But at this point, I'm just gonna roll with it. So if your color is a little bit different than mine, totally fine, just roll with it. You can always cover over it later. Whoop-ah. Okay, now coming down here, I'm gonna go to this back petal, and I see that it pretty much, except for the rim, stays that darker color. So you can go ahead and go around that front petal and just leave the rim of it to where we're gonna go back later with a lighter color. Now moving on along the background, we're gonna go ahead and do this one right here. So I see that this stays pretty dark the whole way through. So I'm gonna cover in most all of it right now, and then we'll add color on top if we want to add dimension. And then the last background one is this one right here, and it has a dark spot on this side. So we are going to follow the line, the outer line, get a nice hard outer line. And then just kind of create a similar shape. So that shape in here, you'll see me, it's kind of an oval-y, it comes down a little bit. So it surrounds this guy. And then just kind of fills in this space a little bit. But doesn't go all the way to this side. I mean, doesn't go all the way to this side. Okay. So now, let's mix a little bit more. Let's mix a little bit more white in and make that color a little bit lighter. So we're not making it white. We are sticking in that color family, and we're just adding a little bit of white. Feel free to add a little bit of water to keep it nice and fluid. And we're gonna start in the center bits of our front petals. And we're just filling in that first little bit. And this one right here, you can see there's not enough of it to fade, so we're just gonna fill in that whole little bit. Just like that. Now with this color, let's go ahead and start with this one. I'm gonna come along the side of the shape that I already drew, and I'm gonna fill in just a little bit. So you see I'm kind of outlining with that color. And I'll even do another shape inside of it. It's just kind of like this. So it's kind of a arched shape. But try your best to stay away from specific shapes as we do this, because the more abstract the shapes are, the more they'll pop and stand out. I'm also gonna do the rim right here for right now. So I'm gonna do this rim. I might change that later, but for now it's gonna be done. Okay, do the same thing on this line. So I'm just gonna take the outer edge of where I ended that line. I'm just gonna fill that in. Then I'm gonna leave that center undone, but I'll go around and just do that much. Oh yeah, y'all, this is gonna look good. Okay, bounce down to this one right here. So it's these two, this guy right here. Let's go ahead and just do that bottom outline. Just like that. Let's do the outline on this one too. So where that overlaps, we're just going to take that bottom outline, just fill that in. As you need more paint, just mix to match the paint that you already have. We're going to stick with this color for another minute. Let's do this guy right here. So I'm going to start, remember how we did those two lips? Let's do underneath that top lip. Let's just do nice and sharp. Underline that lip nice and thick. And we're going to leave the center undone. But you can go ahead and just kind of create your own little line, your own little hard line right there. And then we're going to do just a touch on this top lip. We're not going to the center, but you can go just from the edge, a little bit in on both sides. And then this guy down here, I've kind of kept, because I wanted to gauge how the rest turned out, but let's fill this one in a little bit more. So keep with this color, make more if you need to, mix some water if you need to. Oh, Mel, you need a close-up? All right, here's the close-up right now. There is our close-up. Okay, so this one, we're gonna fill in, so just cover in these lines. Just do the underside of these lines. And we're gonna fill this one. Leave that center bit a little bit. We're gonna fill that in. Sorry, we're having to power through right now. We've still got 10 more minutes, but I wanna make sure we get this done, and then we can do fine tuning afterwards, especially for the people who are recording or watching the recording. I want y'all to have it, all the steps finished. So now, with what's left of that color, there might be hardly anything left. That's okay. Mix your white in. So we're going even lighter. But the important thing with this is, as we mix on top of what's left and mix in a little bit more, we are keeping it from being a true white, but we're progressing in that same color family, that tint family. So I'll show you what we're looking at. Oof, clumpy brush. Okay, this is what we've got now. So now let's go ahead and let's fill in the rest of the flower that's still white. Hey Breeze, it's good to see you. And we'll add one more layer of highlight on top of this, but we'll just get this initial color in. And so this one is the closest to that creamy off-white. We're just filling in these colors and getting rid of that stark white. So on this one right here, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just get this dark white filled in, and then we'll go back and add a little bit. Breeze, I know, I've been waiting. I've been wanting to do a magnolia this whole time, but they have not been in bloom. And then last week they came into bloom, but it was like at the varsity in places where like I couldn't quite reach them. So I finally got one that I could reach today. And so we're doing it. So fill in those last little bits. Get those fold overs. And once you do, take a quick second to just look at what you've created. Or take a sip of what your treat is for the day. Oh, it's looking good, y'all. It's looking good. Okay, so some of these, we left some outlines. So let's go back and add in some of those outlines. You can mix a little bit more white in. And since we're doing some outlines, you're gonna want to mix a little bit of water in. Caitlin, yes, I will send you a picture of my tech setup. I think you'll laugh when you'll see how low-key this is. But I'll send you the tech setup because it's really pretty dang simple. Okay, flatten your brush after you mix it, and then pull it, and you're gonna get a nice sharp line. So we're gonna tackle those outlines. So starting with this one, we've got that nice hard outline. I'm gonna flip this so I don't overlap with things. And then I'm just creating a simple outline. I'm moving quickly because I don't want our recording people to miss out. So if you're watching the recording, please just pause it as you need to. If you're live, remember we're gonna open up that second live. So if you get overwhelmed right now, you can just put your brush down for a minute and we'll switch over and you can rejoin me when we start that second live. Okay, I'm gonna add this highlight right here in this interesting little shape. So I'm just doing this little V up, and pulling that around. Ooh, I need to mix more white. So I'm making it a little bit lighter. Then I'm gonna add a little bit of white right here. On this end. Right in here, I'm gonna add 2 little dots to kind of give us that nice little pop. Over here, I need to do these. So I'm just adding a little bit in the center, a little bit in the center, a little bit in the center. And then I'm gonna add a little touch right here coming in, a little touch right here in the center. So all I'm doing is I'm just adding some dimension to these petals. So I'm adding just a little bit more white and just a little bit more depth, so variation to the flowers. Okay, and so we have just a few more minutes left. So let's go ahead. Let's do that highlight over here so we don't forget it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of circle right here. And then I'm gonna add this top line and then an outline on the edge. Right there. And so you can just add your dimension as you need to. I'm gonna add one right here. And so it's just a matter of playing with what you're looking at and just adding more. If you need to take a step back, you can always take a step back, look at it from a distance, take a break, get a snack, come back to it. It always helps to do this in layers and to give yourself time in between those layers. So the last thing for the people in the recording, you're gonna wanna do, I'm gonna show you how to mix this fuchsia, but for the leaves, you're gonna wanna do another layer of that dark green, and then at the end of that layer, you can mix a nice lime green, light blue by mixing a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue, and some white. And then you're gonna add these highlights. You can't really see them too much. You can see a little bit right there. We saw them at the beginning, but you'll add them just by doing a little line and just kind of creating your highlights where you want them. And it's better to keep them from being too precise and too much exactly the same. Just kind of figure out where you think that center line is, where it's gonna be arching, and where it arches, it's gonna catch the light. So just kind of keep in mind, like it's gonna arch right here, and then I'll pull it a little bit, and you're just gonna add some of those details, okay? I'm watching to make sure that y'all can have this. So you see, we'll make that thicker, then we'll add these little guys, these little highlights, to create that illusion of that waxy finish that reflects light so well. So you're gonna do something like that, except you're gonna finish yours a lot more pretty. Now let me show you, for the recording, let me show y'all real fast that fuchsia color and where that will go. And then those of you who are live, we will open that second live and I will talk you through some of this in more detail and take my time with y'all. But if you're in the recording, remember you can always text me, go into my DMs, send me a picture of what you're working on. I will help you talk through the finish. It is not a burden, I'm happy to do that. So this fuchsia color, you're just gonna mix blue and red, and just heavier on that red, because we want it to be a pinkish purple, or more pink, less purple, and then just create a little line right there. So just a little moment right there. And then you'll take yellow with that light color, and you're gonna add some lines just by dipping your brush down like that on top of your pod. Okay, and just continue to add depth, continue to play with that. Whew, tight on time. So, if you're in the recording, here is your screenshot of mine. Here is your screenshot of both. Here is your screenshot of the flower. I am so glad that y'all have joined me today. This was tight on time for a class. But if you're watching the recording, thank you for joining me. Please DM me if you have any questions. Please post what you've painted and use the hashtag LovelyThingsToCome and tag me in it so I can see it. But thank you for joining me. I hope you love what you've created. Remember, this is all about growth and just enjoying the process. So I'll see y'all next time.